Shalom from Jerusalem. My name is Albert Wexler. I'm the director of Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast. And we are here in the Friends of Zion Museum to give you the answers. Yes, this is the name of our special report, Answers for Our Allies. Because you need the arguments. You need to be really equipped to be able to stand with us as Israel is going through some very, very difficult storm winds. Israel is at war, and we need to think about what's going to be during that war, but also what's going to happen after that war. Together with me in this beautiful studio are some fantastic people that have been doing great service for the people of Israel. Two diplomats that have been giving decades of their lives for serving Israel. And Gil Lainer and Sharon Regev, you are a fantastic couple. It's a great honor to have you here with me. And actually, I want to start with a very important thought from the beginning. What will happen the day after? What shall we do to build up Israel?
So first of all, thank you so much for having us, Albert, and thank you and all the audience that is watching us for your steadfast support in Israel at this time of crisis. We really need that, and we truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you so much. This is indeed a time of crisis. This is one of our darkest hours, and we're still coping. There are about 85,000 residents of the Gaza envelope, the 0 to 7 kilometers from the fence with Gaza, and the northern part of Israel that were evacuated. These are families who lost their dear ones in the most horrific way. These are families whose houses were burned to the ground, razed to the ground, and they were taken at around midnight from the horror in their kibbutzim, in their communities, and they were taken to a place of refuge, if it's in the Dead Sea, if it's in Jerusalem, if it's in Eilat or Mitzpe Ramon, and they are there since then. Because as we speak right now, there are still dozens of rockets falling on their houses, in their communities, and terrorists are still moving around between their houses. So the war is still going on, and they have to cope with everything, with the loss of their dear ones, their loved ones, with the loss of their houses, with the loss of their income. They're not working, and the trauma that they've been going through. And the next stage will be the rehabilitation stage. You know, Albert, I've been, since October 7th, since this Black Saturday, I've been working with the regional councils of the Gaza envelope, Chof Ashkelon, Sha'ar Negev, Sdot Negev, and Eshkol. And I've been talking on a daily basis with people who reside in these communities. And I think their situation is so heartbreaking, you know. They are now in time of crisis. They really need, first of all, they need money, because they need to take all these evacuated families and they have to arrange for them a place to stay in, a place where they can sleep.
But not only that, they need to put food on the table.
They need to have food on the table.
By the end of the month, pay the bills.
They have to rent cars for them. They have to buy clothes for them. And many of them, unfortunately, they have to sit Shiva because they lost their dear ones. They have to coordinate a place for a funeral for them. They have to coordinate a temporary burial place.
I understand some people have not even been identified.
Yes, still, as we speak, still there are a lot of dead bodies in that region that have not been identified, and that is because in some of these dead corpse, the Hamas, they put grenades. So we must make sure that the bodies, the dead bodies,
booby-trapped them.
Yes.
Horrible.
So it takes time, and although we are already 16 days into the war, we were not able to clear the area because it takes a lot of time. So talking about these evacuated families that used to live their beautiful, innocent lives in these amazing communities. amazing communities,
Yes.
really. They made the desert bloom. They invested so much in agriculture, in having such prosperous, beautiful community there. And for them, they always said it was 95% paradise and 5% hell when the rockets from Gaza used to come. But nowadays, it's all black and it's all horror.
I understand also many people that have been advocating, helping the Gazans and creating jobs for them, and Ophir Lipschitz. Yeah, I mean, and many others who were really, really caring for this area were the first victims.
Yeah, you spoke about the mayor of the Sharon Regev Regional Council. Both him and his son were murdered on Saturday as they were trying to protect and guard their communities. He was very much engaged in an economic, joint economic project with the Gazans to try and bring prosperity to the region. And he was always looking for peace and for ways to help the communities on both sides of the fence in Israel and in Gaza. But see what happened to him. And I spoke with Yahel, who is one of the members of the Kibbutz Erez community. And he told me the stories because I've been trying to help them. We got some calls from a lot of good-hearted people who wanted to donate money and help these communities at this time of terrible crisis. And I was talking to Yahel, and Yahel told me, listen, Sharon, I have to, whenever there's an alarm, red alarm, I have to run to the bomb shelter, and then I have to help with you know, getting all the dead bodies and making sure that they are being buried and that the families can sit Shiva and to coordinate for the bereaved family the Shiva location because they cannot sit in their homes. Many of them lost their homes. Mm-hmm. And so, first of all, you have to understand that when you talk to the regional councils, to the residents of these communities, they tell you that they have needs in 3 different time frames. They have immediate existential needs. They must make sure that their communities are safeguarded. So they have to make sure that they have a place to stay in, that they have food, that they have clothes, that their basic needs, they, you know, like psychological services are being met. And they have to take care of those who are left in their communities because these communities, many of these kibbutzim are dealing with agriculture. They have cows that they have to continue and milk the cows. Yeah. And they have the fields, their agricultural products that they still have to harvest. And so you do still have some of these communities have some of their residents on the spot, and they need to take care of them. They need to take care of them, although we know that there are still terrorists that are in that region.
I even cannot imagine to myself, you know, how difficult it could be if, for a family that have lost their loved ones, they have lost their houses, even to come back. I mean, it's a challenge like you cannot even imagine. But you were mentioning something about helping these communities by building them up. Maybe we have some friends here, maybe you have a building company, maybe you are a contractor, maybe there is a team of men that can just take time, volunteer. I'm talking about the day after, but helping to build these communities up again. I mean, Israeli army will take care of Hamas. We need to eliminate this evil organization, but there's a day after, and that's what we are talking about, how to build up Israel again after that we have faced all these horrible consequences of the October the 7th. So
absolutely. I think that after the immediate needs of these communities will come the rehabilitation stage. And we must make sure that this community rehabilitate. In Israel, there was a special agency, it's called Tkuma, meaning rehabilitation, which
uprising.
Uprising.
Well, it's not really, it's a revival.
Resurrection.
Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah. So Tkuma. The revival administration was established just a few days ago, and they are talking about a 5-year process of the rehabilitation of that region. And as you said, Albert, we really need our friends to help us on that. We need to build back our homes. We need to build back the communal areas, if it's the dining room of the kibbutz, or if these are the paths and the alleys of the kibbutz.
Homes.
We need to build, first and foremost, we have to make sure they have homes to go back to. They tell you, when you talk to the members of these kibbutzim, they tell you, this is our home. We do not have any other home. This is our place.
Golda Meir said to then Senator Joe Biden, we have a secret weapon.
Yeah, we don't have nowhere to go.
We have no place to go. But you, Gil, you've been working with Technion for many years. You know, you are very practical in your approach and very structured in how to build up organizations. I mean, how can we now respond? I mean, there's, I believe, many viewers that would want to do something. So what would you say?
First off, without taking anything away from the government, as somebody who spent almost 30 years in the public sector, I can tell you there are limitations to what the government can do. And I think a lot will fall upon the people, the communities, the people themselves. And in that aspect, because you have to look at the numbers for a minute to understand. We're talking about the day-to-day cost is about $1 billion a day, something like that, about 4 billion shekels a day to maintain the war effort, so to speak. And that's what's happening right now. This is what it's costing. Around $1 billion a day. This is more or less the numbers I've seen about what it costs to run a war in those circumstances. We're talking about around 400,000 reservists right now. Now, these people are not in their jobs right now, so they're not producing. There are people, replacing them, but if you're a software engineer or a vice president of a company, it's not like we can find somebody to replace you on Facebook in 2 days. So they're not producing, but they're being paid. Somebody has to pay them. They're reservists. Reservists, they do basically a month a year, more or less, and then this is the main part of the Israeli armed forces are the reservists. So the country needs them. Now, if we're looking at what they're talking about here long term, and every Israeli leader who spoke said it's going to take a while, it's going to be long, it's going to be nobody names an exact figure, but we're all talking about weeks, if not months, of more or less of the same of the situation as far as people being enlisted. So people are enlisted, they're not there. You mentioned earlier, a lot of Israel's agriculture comes from that area. So, there's a real problem now. Not only getting to the fields, first it was getting some of the stuff out of there. Now is who is going to go work in the fields. That's another part of it. Now, the economy is at halt right now. People are already being let go from the commerce. People are talking about layoffs of hundreds of tens of thousands of people. Why? Because the economy is halting. So people are not buying, they're not selling so much. Many sectors are affected. Construction, for example, the construction stopped for a few days. Now it resumed. It hasn't resumed everywhere. So at the end of the day, we're looking at a period of time in which the Israeli economy is going to have issues and difficulties in producing the amount of income it needs. Now, if these companies are not producing, they're not making money, the government is not going to get taxes. Now, people compare it to the Corona period, a lot of it. The Israeli government borrowed hundreds of millions of dollars at that time, but the interest was zero. Now it's 5%. So, it's going to cost a lot more. And there's an issue of the credit rating. And, we're already seeing talks about, long-term, short-term effects on that. So when it comes to that, I think that the one thing that the Israeli economy in general is going to need is an infusion of foreign money. There is no pretty way to say it. Construction is very important. At the end of the day, it's all about that. So people who can obviously should think about, coming and helping in construction, etc. But I think, given the circumstances, a little bit longer term, I would say a few weeks, once things calm down a little bit, come here. It's very important for us. Come here, spend money on the economy. Book a hotel room, take a tour guide, have a meal in a restaurant in Israel. Fill up the places again. It's going to help a lot. We were around the projection for this year was 4 million tourists, more or less, I think. We need to get to as close as we can to those numbers. The second part is going to be the investment. If you're considering between investing in Israel or somewhere else, in a company or in buying a product, think about us. See if you can help us. You need to buy something anyways. Might as well buy it in Israel and you know, help the Israeli economy that way. I think this is the most rudimentary and fundamental things that people can do, is spend money if you can, come here if you can, send help obviously, and then, you know, buy Israel bonds. You know, Israel bonds is a very good investment to begin with, but now even greater, you know, if you can buy Israel bonds, do that.
Gil, maybe you should tell our viewers exactly how you do that.
You just look for Israel bonds online or go to the closest Israel bonds office in the United States, and you can buy those bonds, who are very, very reliable. They're a very, very good investment, because it's a solid investment, because investing in Israel is solid in spite of everything we see here. And this is it. Urge your pension fund to buy Israel bonds. Urge your whoever is responsible for your 401k and makes the decision on where to invest the money in Israel.
There have been, you know, so many calls to divest. You know, now maybe it's good to say
invest.
Now it's
exactly
no, because there's been, you know, these BDS calls. Yes. But now it is clear that you cannot support Hamas or its atrocities, these murderers, baby killers. I mean, you have to invest in Israel. And as you know, in the Bible, it says very clearly, Israel is forever. I mean, when you see the sun in the sky, the moon, you see the stars, the Bible says if you see the sun lose its power, moon and stars not shining anymore, then Israel will not be a nation before God. But I can tell you, Israel will be a nation before God. And we are talking here about the day after. We need to build up Israel together with you. And isn't it also a good opportunity to make friends in Israel? I mean, if you come and build up a community, there are many huge organizations, Christian organizations in the United States, all over the world, that are actually geared towards the emergency help. Samaritan Purse, there are many others, the Convoy of Hope. I mean, I would just make a call also on you. Come, this is the time that Israel needs you. Think of those people that have been evacuated. How many was it that was?
85,000.
85,000 only from the south, or
yes.
is it also from the north?
I think it's combined.
Combined. I mean, my take is it's going to be more people that will be evacuated. But we need to think of the day after, and we need your help. We are really, really in need of your support. Coming to Israel, make friends with Israelis. This will be a lifetime friendship, believe me.
You know, Albert, I got so many calls from people who are really good-hearted people who want to help. Yesterday I got a call from New York, and several psychologists offered free treatment to the evacuated families, those who have lost their dear ones and lost their houses. They said, we can do it on Zoom, you know. We have people who are farmers who said, we are ready to come and volunteer and go to all these kibbutzim in the Gaza envelope and harvest all the agricultural products of the south. So we see this amazing call among really good-hearted people who want to come and help and volunteer and be here in Israel with this community at this time of crisis. We also see right here in Israel, all the civic society, everyone is now part of helping the society to rehabilitate itself. Everyone is, you know, you take people, the evacuated families, if they need treatments or what have you, they take them with their own cars, or they bring them clothes or tablets or PlayStation so they have something to do.
I'll give you a short example. I called to our mutual friend, Esti Ohana, and what do I hear? She is organizing a food distribution in the south. So she's a head of a big tourist agency, and instead of sitting in the office, that's what she's doing. That's Israeli at its best, Israeli society at its best, isn't it?
Absolutely, but it's not just the Israeli society. The nice thing about it is that you see people from all over the world. You see Jewish philanthropists or Jewish people that want to help. You see a lot of Christian friends of Israel. Yesterday I got a call from a lady from Fiji. She said, Fijians are standing with Israel. They want to come, they want to volunteer. If you need, they will come to the military and they will stand in the border to protect Israel. If you need, they will come and they will help with agriculture. So we see Israel's friends all over the world coming here, want to help and volunteer in Israel and trying to take part in this rehabilitation stage. But what I want to say is that on top of these really goodwill people, ambassadors of goodwill, we really need this business sector. We need the businessmen to do businesses in Israel. And as Gil said before, we need them to invest in Israel. If it's going to join projects together, if there are companies abroad that are seeking now partners in order to build up their business, first and foremost, please look for companies for this cooperation in Israel, because our economy needs it right now. We need to strengthen our economy because the burden of the war is going to be great. So we need to invest a lot in our economy, and we ask our friends to help in that.
So we have been talking about the day after. Actually, the situation now is grave, and we need your help. But think also of organizing a group of builders or investors, or whichever way you want to do. Israel bonds. There are many ways to help and stand with Israel. So we are so thankful that you have joined us today. We are thankful that you are praying for us. Set up another prayer meeting. Continue another week, because we need it to be coming as the days go by. We are facing a major storm, but together, believe me, we will win and we will be triumphant. So to the next time, Shalom from Jerusalem. See you tomorrow, 1 o'clock Israel time.